You're listening to Keith Engle, the host of TGI Sports Talk on the National Streaming Sports Roku channel.
Football season is here, and SeatGeek is my go-to for buying tickets. Now with SeatGeek, every single ticket is backed with their buyer guarantee. We've all had plans change, and when you can't make it to the big game, SeatGeek has you covered. They're the only ticketer that allows you to return your tickets ahead of the event for credit with SeatGeek swaps. So when things come up, I know that my tickets won't go to waste. So what are you waiting for? Download the SeatGeek app to maximize your possibilities and shop live events with confidence.
Good morning, guys. Keith Engle, TGI Sports Talks Sunday Stream of Consciousness. I've got my Wi-Fi issue bar in front of me. Hopefully we don't have a problem today. It's the first time I've seen that in a while. I don't know if we have too many things going here at once or not, but bear with us, will you? Good to have you with us. Trying to see if we're live on Facebook real quick, so bear with me. And we welcome everybody watching today on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, on the National Streaming Sports Roku channel. Lots of great content on that network. And there's some changes coming with the sad passing of our leader, Mac McGrath. I believe we'll still be on Roku. It's still to be determined a little bit, but you'll still see all the great shows that I do on my platforms, if nowhere else. We do hope to maintain the Roku audience. And in fact, we'll have a new show starting. Well, it's kind of an old show retooled a little bit. You know, that Roku and National Streaming Sports had the Mac and Jack show with Mac McGrath and Jack Hirsch. Sonia has done a great job filling in since Mac got ill and unfortunately passed away. And she's going to have to step back because of some other responsibilities. But Jack Hirsch and I, are going to start a new show, Jack and Keith's Weekly Playbook. I hope that's the right name. Let me pull it up here for you. Here it is. Keith and Jack's Weekend Playbook. Sorry about that. Is going to be the new show. That's our logo. Trying to get it to fit the back screen. I can't quite do it, or the StreamYard stream. So anyway, we'll be doing that show on Mondays and Fridays at 8 a.m. till 9 a.m. So we were doing it Friday anyway. I was on that show for years. So Jack and I are going to pick up the ball, and you're going to see, I think, some good stuff. I've always enjoyed doing the shows when I filled in or when I guested with Mac and Jack, and then Sonia and Jack and whoever. And sometimes I hosted the show with Jack, co-hosted the show with Jack, if you will. But you're going to get some smart takes. You're going to get some really, really strong opinions. You're going to get real sports talk is what we're going to do. And we'll have some fun. We'll take your comments as much as we can as well. So we'll have some fun with that. I want to also thank the groups that allow me to share this. I'll be sharing that show to the groups now. So we'll be adding 2 shows because I didn't really share my guest appearances because I didn't want to overrun the groups with stuff where I wasn't going to be maybe on the entire time. But we'll share that show to all these groups and more. There's hundreds of groups I share to, depending on the content. But specifically, John Gonzalez at the Sports Authorities, Greg Rawlings at America's Pastime, Love of Baseball, Flo and the Gang at Bottom Line Sports. Let's Talk Sports. Tanner D's done a great job over there picking up for the late great Dan Harris. Thumbs up, Dan. Thumbs up to you, Mac McGrath, too, by the way. But Flo and the Gang do their podcasting on Let's Talk Sports. They do a great job. A lot of great content there as well. Ken Krause, Sports Bud, Sports of All Sorts as well. There's many, many, many others who go unnamed here. I'm sorry to say. Lots to talk about today. One thing I want to put up, and I'll put it up in a little bit. In fact, I think I can do it right now because I haven't done anything. For Paul, who I see here, and Danny, I don't want to really share this link. I'm going to share it anyway. That's not it. Bear with me. Can't see my keyboard. I know you guys have had some trouble, Danny and Paul. I'm going to leave it off for now. We'll wait till next week to share the link to the TGI Sports Talk Fantasy Football League. I think we're up to 10. We can go up to 16. I want to get Danny and Paul in there. I put it in the group chat, the messenger chat for TGI Sports Talk. So you guys let me know if you can get in there, and then we'll post it for a little more consumption. I'd rather get people that are participating in the show so we know we have guys that are going to participate in the league and not drop out. Lots to talk about today. Dave Parker in Major League Baseball. Dave Parker passes away, sadly, about a month prior to his Hall of Fame. It's long overdue. I'm sorry. I know some of you are going to say, borderline Hall of Famer. He wasn't voted in by the writers. He was voted in by the Veterans Committee. I'm not going to figure out what they call it these days. But he was a six times he finished in the top 10 of the MVP voting. He won in 1979. He was an all-star, 6 or 7 times. He was an all-around player, one of the great defensive players, especially arm-wise, that I've ever seen. Watch a 1970 All-Star game and watch him throw out Brian Downing at home plate. Great player, definitely deserving of the Hall of Fame. We'll talk about Dave if you like today. Ohtani pitches a couple innings yesterday, hits 101.7. Slow it down, back it off, man. You're coming back from an arm injury. The Marte nonsense in Arizona, fans got to stop. Yankees and Mets are both struggling a bit. The Mets have rebounded a little bit, probably better than the Yankees. Both still in first place. What do they need to do in the second half? We can get into that. Rockies now on a pace for 127 losses. My math was bad on Friday's MLB update. My apologies. Bobby Witt to the WBC. Happy about the WBC, and the great players are going to play for the U.S. Kudos to Terry Francona for actually letting his pitcher attempt a no-hitter by telling him, go out and pitch the ninth inning, through 103-ish pitches, I think. And I'm going to leave you in there till you give up a hit. Thank you, Terry. Are you listening, Aaron Boone? NBA, Dawn Staley to the Knicks. Is this a smoke screen? We could get into this. Dawn Staley's a great coach. The NBA is going to have and maybe all sports, I don't know. We'll have women coaches at some point, or managers. The NBA is probably closer than any place. Dawn Staley's a great, great, great college basketball coach. I'm not saying women's college basketball coach. I'm saying college basketball coach. But gender issues matter. You're going to go coach a bunch of prima donna men in the biggest media market in the country, and with team with great expectations. I think this would be a bad move. But is it a smokescreen because they're about to hire Mike Brown and they want to say, we overturned every rock. In fact, we even went outside the box. We can talk about that. Kings, are they built to last? Cooper Flagg goes first in the draft, as we know we would. Lenny Wilkins is going to get a statue in Seattle. By the way, Barry Bonds is getting a statue in San Francisco, and Sammy Sosa's back in good graces with the Cubs. How about that stuff? Ace Bailey nonsense in the NBA. The NFL, Tucker suspended. We know he was released by the Ravens, but he's now been suspended 10 weeks by the NFL, hoping to, I guess, get that resolved before any other team can sign him. Todd Bowles gets an extension. We had a sad death in the NFL as well. Jerry Philbin, great defensive player with the Jets, part of that 69 World Championship team, passed away. Our thoughts and prayers are with him, his family and friends, as they are with Dave Parker and his family and friends. The Bills will be on Hard Knocks. BYU, Retzlaff, their quarterback, who's been accused of rape, is also denying those allegations. Harbaugh added to a suit where an assistant coach, Matt Weiss, was hacking into players' personal computers and looking for intimate information. What that means, I don't know. supposedly Harbaugh let him coach after he knew he did this. So I don't know. I don't know that I care. Texas State looks like they're going to be the next member of the Pac-12. Will they be able to regain their status? WNBA. I got a couple problems here. Caitlin Clark's struggling. I guess that's not a big deal, but she's struggling a little bit right now. My bigger issue, and I don't think I brought it up last week, or maybe it didn't happen until this week. Rebecca Lobo recently, during an WNBA game, I'm going to get to your comments here in a second too, I promise. WNBA referees had made a call during a game. She was doing commentary. I don't remember the play-by-player's name off the top of my head. But the play-by-player says to Dawn, the referees disagree with her because she said she didn't think it was a foul. They called a foul. And she goes, well, we get to disagree. That's what makes America great. And there was this awkward silence for like 20 seconds. And then she goes, I guess I should rephrase that. And the next day she apologized for saying that's what makes America great. What? What are we doing? I don't understand. What else? And by the way, congratulations to the Albany Firebirds. They beat Nashville in the AFL. One championship game yesterday, 60-57, and a little bit closer game than maybe we expected, as the Firebirds had just run roughshod over the AFL this year. So let's catch up and see who's with us this morning. Good morning, Drew. Good to have you with us. As always, rest in peace, Dave Parker. As we said, just a month before its enshrinement. Very sad. Dave Parker had really been looking forward to this, and he thought he belonged for a lot of years. I think he belonged for a lot of years. It's sad. Morning, Paul Spada. Paul, I did put in, as I said, for you and Danny, I did put in the Messenger, TGI Sports Talk Messenger chat. The link hopefully will get you into the Fantasy Football League. Good morning, Dave Guyette up in Amsterdam. How are you? Not a good comeback. Clark Schmidt, I think, completed, I want to say 28 and a third, if I'm not mistaken, scoreless innings, consecutive scoreless innings, a fifth, I think the fifth best since 1960. But then he got hammered a little bit. So Yankees lose yesterday. Very sad. This is your show, guys. So with the topics I brought up, you don't have to necessarily jump into. CA, good morning to you. CA is the administrator, the admin for our TGI Sports Talk Fantasy Football. So any inquiry should go to him. It's hard to reach out because CA is not on Facebook. In fact, I tried to share it to my Facebook feed, and it would not let me, but I'm going to try to copy and paste it in there. Once I know Paul and Danny are in, I want to fill this up. What I would like to do is get some of you guys who sit back a little bit, watch the show, but join us and have some bragging rights here at TGI Sports Talk in our fantasy football. And we'll do our pick'em this year as well. You guys need to tell me whether you want to do the pick'em with spreads or without. I think last year we did them without. I will try to link when I get home. I need to sign into Yahoo. You will need to be signed into Yahoo. You will need to have a Yahoo account, Danny or Paul. I'm sorry. And I know Paul mentioned last week that the league appeared full, but no, there's, I think, 10 teams in, and we have 16 max. Wisconsin guys struggle with technology. Paul, just remember that was Rick that said that. We got to get the cheese. The Jackie Key show and the new old school. It will be the new old school, CA, for sure. We're going to have some fun. I've always enjoyed doing shows with Jack. There's times he irritates me. And sorry, Jack, if you watch this later. But Jack irritates everybody eventually, and so do I. And what you're going to get there is strong opinions, I think, and some really fun sports talk. I mean, we already got a couple things to talk about tomorrow. We'll definitely be talking about Dawn Staley tomorrow. We got some boxing to talk about with Jack. So if you like boxing, you'll get some boxing on that show. And we'll be on Mondays from 8 to 9. And And Fridays from 8 to 9. And maybe later on, we'll see what happens. We're going to bookend the weekends, right? So you get all the news coming out of the weekend on Mondays. And Fridays, you get all the news from during the week and leading into the weekend. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun to do. So we'll see how that goes. Looking forward to seeing all you guys jump in and participate just like you do here. Jack needs to jump into the fantasy football league. I'm not sure. Listen, I've told Jack, I mean, I wanted to get him working the StreamYard. I mean, our show can't happen when I'm not there. So, and there's going to be times I can't do the shows, right? I'm going to retire and I'm not going to be available every Monday and Friday morning. I will for the most part. That's why we're going to continue at 8 a.m. so that we can have it. And I will share it to all the groups as I've shared all the other shows that I do now that it's, branded with me. AC's with us. How are you, my friend? Red Sox struggling. Who are the teams that have I got a list of teams that have struggled that we expected to do better, I think, to one degree or another. Which of these teams is most likely to rebound? The Red Sox, the Orioles, the Twins, the Indians. I'm sorry, the team formerly known as the Indians, the Royals, the Mariners, the Rangers, the Reds to some degree, and the D-backs. Only two of those teams in the National League. That tells you something, that all these teams that are struggling that we thought might do better, some people at least, I'm not saying I thought all these teams would do well. A couple of them had winning divisions, so. Paul's disagreeing with you, Rick. No, I see I'm signed into Yahoo app, so I never have to sign in. When I click on the link, it makes you sign in. Oh, well, I think that's part of making sure you are who you say you are. So part of technology today, you might have to change your password. If you know your password and you got it written down somewhere, then certainly do that. I mean, I have to change my passwords all the time on stuff when I get logged out of it because I don't write them down. You shouldn't write them down. Depending on what we're talking about. Yahoo's probably not a big deal. Always enjoy when a former player gets the better of his previous team. JP Sears. What did JP Sears do this week? Was that the Yankee game? I think it was, right? I'm going to assume that's the Yankee game. Oh, man. What did he do? Yeah, I know he pitched well. They got shut out, so. He's 6-7 with a 5.09 ERA. So overall, I mean, he's not setting the world on fire, but he had his day yesterday. Shut the Yankees down on 3 hits. Yankees have not been hitting of late. Stanton got off to a great start, and he's, turned into Stanton again, 235. Jazz Chisholm has come back since he's played well, by the way. He's only up to 237, but he's played really well since he came back. 21 or 22 games back from injury. Volpe's struggles continue. Wells, LeMahieu, Dominguez. Even Judge goes hitless yesterday. The only hits were Bellinger and Judge. A lot made out of Bellinger being disrespected. Even Jazz, look at Cody Bellinger said the right things after Friday's game. They walked Judge to get to Bellinger. And Bellinger comes up with a game-winning hit. You're going to walk Aaron Judge. I don't care who's hitting behind him. You're going to walk Aaron Judge with the game on the line. Jazz said, it's the ultimate disrespect. And, even Bellinger said he understands. By the way, speaking of the Yankees, it's looking more and more like Aaron Boone, who will manage the All-Star team, will have the opportunity, depending on how the pitching lines up, to start his own pitcher in the All-Star game, Max Fried. I can't remember the last time a Yankees starter started the All-Star game, quite frankly. We might have to go back to Whitey Ford. I don't know if Stottlemyre started one or not. Yeah, I would have to look that up. Bonds, to me, is the best hitter that I've ever seen in person outside of George Brett. Well, I mean, Bonds became, both these guys, by the way, Bonds was pretty much a spray hitter and became a power hitter before steroids. He started hitting home runs. Let's be fair. George Brett was George Brett was not a great player. Was not a great prospect when he was called up by the Royals, and he was a punch and Judy hitter for his first year and a half or so in the major leagues. But really, are my glasses crooked? What the hell's going on here? Is my head crooked or is my glasses crooked? Drive me nuts. I don't have ADD too much, do I? Don't care about Stroman. Yes, that will destroy any Yankee hopes for sure. By the way, they're talking about pitching him like every 7th day. I don't need Stroman. Yankees need some, I don't know. Yankees definitely need some help in that, I think, a depth, let's say, not necessarily help. Because I'll tell you what, who's pitched really well for this team? And I said, by the way, I admit my mistakes a lot on this show because I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to take strong opinions and be wrong. Just not afraid. I don't go run and hide like Mike Francesa and the WFAN. And you never hear about the things he says that are wrong or predictions he makes that are wrong. I said Clark Schmidt would step up big this year, and he has. I said I thought Will Warren would take a big step forward, and he has. Will Warren pitched really well the other night. Do they have their struggles? Sure, they're still young. But they need some help at that fifth starting, and they need some depth. I don't know that Schmidt won't get hurt again. I don't know that any of these guys won't get hurt. So the Yankees need some depth in that starting rotation, and they probably need some more arms in that bullpen. Although they've pitched pretty well. Luke Reavers pitched well. Not even at full strength just yet. Devin Williams now is pitching like lights out. Cruz has pitched well. Hamilton's pitched really well. Hill and Leiter in certain instances have pitched well. Loaizaga, who's got probably maybe the best arm on the staff when he's healthy, is doing better. The WNBA thing was disgusting and sad. Democrats hate America, and America is better than ever in just a few months. Well, I'm not going to go into all that, but I mean, just in general, the fact that we have to apologize. What happened here? It says we're having trouble streaming to Facebook. There may be an issue on Facebook's end. Possible stream has ended or deleted on Facebook. Are we gone? Does anybody know? All right, I'm going to try to get us back on there because we're going to lose half our audience here. All right, Facebook guys, I'm trying to get us back on. I probably should check because it doesn't look like I was gone anyway. Anyway, you might see a little glitch there. Bear with it if you do. Yeah, all of what you say is true here, AC, without a doubt. I'm not going to dive too deep into the political part of this. It just there's a big piece to it, unfortunately. Why you should have to apologize for saying that's what makes America great is amazing to me. I'm just saying, for whatever reason. I don't care what the reason is. I don't care if it's Democrats. I don't care if it's Republicans. I don't care if it's who. Ridiculous. You got to watch everything you say. I'm not going to watch everything I can say. The fact that I can sit here and do what I do and say that her having to apologize for saying that is ridiculous. That's what makes America great. Ridiculous. Ron Washington remain on medical leave the rest of the season. I'm a little worried here for Ron Washington, and the secretiveness of why he has had to step away is concerning. And I pray to God it's not the worst case, right? I know there's a lot of people making assumptions, and I'm not really doing that. I'm praying it's not the worst case scenario. Well, there's a couple of worst case scenarios. Is that even possible? There are multiple worst case scenarios. he's had some issues, personal issues in the past, and I pray to God it's not that. But we do wish Ron Washington a speedy recovery. You guys know, you've heard me speak of the respect I have for Ron Washington. The players who have played for him as a manager and even more so as a coach speaks for itself. He's one of the great. He's a lifer. He knows more about baseball than most people have forgotten. Is that right? Oh, I'm sorry. He's forgotten more than most people know. But yes, we wish Ron Washington the best, regardless of the situation. I probably shouldn't even speculate. That's not fair for me to do that. With the changes coming to the podcast, let's play the jingle in honor of Mac. Always makes you smile. You know what? We'll play this. This doesn't have to go away. That's for sure. The jingle. Let's play it quick. Give us 2 seconds, guys, or 10 seconds, whatever this goes. And this is Mac McGrath, the late great Mac McGrath, and the dulcet tones as he sings the TGI Sports Talk jingle.
Keith Engle, the guy with the sports talk show. On the internet, he's the guy that we all know. If you love your sports, he's the guy for you. He has lots of shows on Roku. Keith Engle with the TGI Sports Talk Show.
There you go. Thank you, Mac McGrath. We hope you're watching over us and know that we're thinking of you all the time. By the way, I've been playing around with Chat GPT and working on some new intros for some of the shows. Hasn't worked the way I wanted to. I thought it was going to build me a musical. I think I can do it if I pay, and I don't want to do that. So we're going to work on some new intros, and it built a logo for the Mac, the Mac. Sorry, I can't get over that. The Jack and Keith weekend playbook. So it's interesting that I've been using it at work and I haven't used it here, so we want to get into it. Indians, best chance. Is this a comment? Am I using Indians, or the Indians of the teams I mentioned have the best chance to maybe rebound and still be playoff bound? The Mets lose yet another starter with Canning going down with a ruptured Achilles, by the way. I didn't see this. Did he rupture it? Because I didn't see if they carried him off the field and he ruptured it. If he walked off the field, he doesn't have a ruptured Achilles. I can tell you right now. As somebody who had a ruptured Achilles in 2008, I can tell you that you don't walk off the field with a ruptured Achilles. I didn't see Canning. I don't know. There was a lot of reports when Aaron Rodgers got hurt that he had ruptured his Achilles. He did not. He tore his Achilles, which is still a major injury, by the way. But you can walk off with some help. You're not walking off the field with a ruptured Achilles. I can tell you right now. You're going to hop on one foot. It's the only way you're doing it. Because there's nothing there. It's all mush. So I didn't see him. And I do believe they were claiming it's a ruptured Achilles, which, by the way, devastating injury. He's probably going to miss. Well, if you're a basketball player, Halliburton, who also ruptured his Achilles 100 times. I have seen, not 100 times, every player in the NBA who plays through a calf injury seems to rupture their Achilles. Why do they do it? It happened to Durant in the finals when he was with Golden State. It's not a fun injury, I can tell you right now. Okay, so Paul says he's good. We got to get with Danny and make sure he's good. First pick, 3rd overall in my draft last night, Barkley. You're drafting in June? Please don't invite me to that league. Why would you be drafting in June? Well, Barkley's headed for training camp injury, Paul. Sorry, you just jinxed him. AC's going to Fenway tomorrow. Crochet is supposed to be pitching for the Sox, and the Reds have last year's number something overall pick. I think his name is Burns, and the kid must have an arm if he's already in the bigs. Drew follows the guys in the minor league. Listen, I can tell you about certain guys in the minor leagues, certainly the Yankee prospects. I have trouble with some other teams. I just can't follow them the way I used to. When I was in a fantasy dynasty league, I can tell you every organization's minor leagues. Drew could probably comment on this guy if you'd like. EC. Paul's getting a frozen screen. I think you were getting that last week when I was live from Mystic, and nobody else was, Paul. So I don't know what the issue is. Hopefully, it will correct itself. JB's with us from the Back It Up Binge podcast. He's always wrong, he says. Orioles are my proof. Dolphins are my proof. And my attention is back to tennis and Wimbledon. When do they start? Have they started yet? We'll give some Wimbledon news. You see me? Yeah, I don't know what I gotta read. So when there's a trouble with one of the streams, StreamYard will tell me, and I just went and removed it and put it back up. Hopefully there was no interruption. I should have looked first. I saw that when I did go look, and there's a delay on Facebook, so I should have seen that it was live. But thank you for that, AC. I don't know why that's there, but you can always support me by sending stars. I'm retiring soon. I need coffee money. I probably froze because I restarted it, Rick, is what I'm thinking. That was probably my doing. Paul, same thing. I probably should have looked when StreamYard gave me the notice that the stream had been interrupted on that one source. I removed it and put it back in. So that's probably why you saw me freeze. If you refresh the page, you should see it fine. I'm looking at it now, and I can see my giant head. I don't have enough light on me or something. I'm getting a lot of pixelation. How come? There's our boy, John Gonzalez. Good morning. Geez, that's usually what Danny says to me. John, you should be getting in our fantasy football league at TGI Sports Talk. I can put the link up here if you're interested. Danny and Paul will be getting in. It's all we're trying to make sure we get guys that will participate and are part of the show on Sundays so we can bust their chops. And by the way, I mentioned, I know we talk about your Jets and Mr. Namath, but one of the underrated things about that Jet 69 championship, Super Bowl championship team, the first one the AFL won, was that defense, which I think in later years has gotten a lot more respect maybe than they got early on. But Jerry Philbin, as we said, passed away. A very important cog on that tremendous Jet defense, and passed away, I believe, at 82, I want to say. It doesn't sound old anymore, does it? If I live till I'm 82, I'm only going to live another 17 years. That can't be right. I'm going till I'm 100. But anyway, our thoughts and prayers go out to Jerry Philbin and his family. As we said earlier, John Gonzalez coming in made me think of that. Welcome, John. John, I want to know, and nobody's spoken up yet, about the Dawn Staley situation with the Knicks. I always get myself in trouble with these situations. There is going to be a woman coaching in the NBA. Dawn Staley is a great coach, and she might very well be the one to break that barrier. I just don't think going to New York in this time of great expectations next year, they're going to be one of the favorites to win the East, that this is a good idea. If this is real. By the way, I do think gender matters, Jack, and we'll talk about this more tomorrow, I guarantee you, because Jack feels that gender won't have any effect if she were to become a coach, that the players would respect her automatically because women manage men in the real world. We're going to get into this with Jack tomorrow. I promise you. It's not the same. Sports is not the real world. We've seen it over and over again. Employees disrespect the employers right and left. I think it would be a problem. If this was Sacramento, maybe not. I don't think New York, in a situation where they're expected to win championship is a great place to do this. Now, a huge part of me thinks this is all a smokescreen anyway, and the Knicks are getting ready to name Mike Brown the coach. And they want to be able to say, well, we turned over every rock, and we even were thinking outside the box. We went to one of the greatest college basketball coaches. I didn't say women basketball coach. I said basketball coach. So for you people who think, I only don't think she can make it here because she's a woman, that's not necessarily true. Dawn Staley's a great coach. In the right situation, I think Dawn Staley might be able to coach in the NBA. Now, college coaches have trouble in general converting from NCAA to the NBA. A couple of examples of successful ones were brought up earlier. Larry Brown, but Larry Brown coached professionally, then went to college, then went back to the pros. A little different. Who was the other one that got brought? Rick Pitino. Rick Pitino was a successful professional coach before he was a very successful college coach. He had coached, I think, at BU before he went to the Knicks. But then he bombed out with the Celtics. Billy Donovan hasn't done badly. So this isn't just about gender. Well, I guess I should say it's all about gender. Don't write me, please. Don't pick at my house. Dawn Staley can coach in the NBA. I believe that. I don't think she can coach this Knicks team with the expectations that are on this team next year. I think it's a bad idea. And I also think it might be just a smokescreen. CA says the Fantasy League is now publicly published. Click Join a League, go down to Custom Leagues, and select 8/27 draft date. Yahoo Fantasy has us listed, 6 slots available. Okay, there's more. I did put the link to this morning. I was able to share and put it in the messenger that our TGI Sports Talk people converse in. Anybody ever wants to join that chat, all you got to do is let me know, and I'll add you. Sometimes there's some good content coming out of there. Here comes Drew with the baseball birthdays to stump me. These look easy so far. Gunnar Henderson, we know, JB knows, not having a great year, but starting to get it together in Baltimore. Tanner Houck, Boston pitcher. Nick Senzel, might be with the Nationals now. I'm not sure where he is, but he was a hot prospect with the Reds for a while. Bobby Dahlbeck, I want to say, I'm not sure. I want to say first baseman, but I'm not sure. Brooks Raley's going to get me. John Wayner's going to get me. Pedro Guerrero, obviously with the Dodgers. Rick Honeycutt, left-hander with a bunch of teams, Dodgers, Rangers, Mariners, bunch of teams. Larry Stahl, who was, a decent major league outfielder for the 70s, played with Kansas City for the most part that I know, left-handed hitter. Probably played elsewhere besides the Royals, but I'm not sure where. John Bacabella, catcher, first baseman with the Expos. Harmon Killebrew, we all know, great player with the Twins. And Bob Shaw. One's stumping me as well. Bobby Dahlbeck, I'm going to say, was a outfielder in the 90s. Brooks Raley and John Wayner, I'm going to say, were pitchers. I'm probably wrong. We'll get there. Oh, we got more. Dizzy Trout, we know. Father of Steve Trout. Big Yankee bust. Burgess Whitehead, that's got me. Bobby Veach has got me. And Wilbert Robinson's got to be an old-timer in the Hall of Fame. Dizzy Trout, we remember on this list. Fill me in on where I went wrong. Yeah, you guys want to draft way too early. What's the point? Are they all out of town in August and September? Or August? July's too early. When do we draft? I don't know when we're draft. What was your date you put up there, CA? 8/27. I hope I don't get a What the hell? I'm in 2 other leagues from work that I'm going to stay in, even though I'm leaving. I need to be defrosted. What did I do? I don't know what I said. Oh, frozen screen. No, I probably caused that frozen screen by listening to StreamYard telling me I had a problem with that destination. And I have to, when it happens, it's like I do a reboot, right? I take it out and put it back in. So I probably caused that. I apologize. Anthony's with us. Good morning. Good to have you with us, Anthony. I see you are, I want to confirm, Anthony, that you are going to be in the, I see you in the TGI Sports Talk. I'm just trying to confirm everybody. I've got Scott confirming all the Let's Talk Sports guys like Nick. Nick and Tanner are going to be in. I know that our great Cowboy fan is going to be in. So if you can just confirm, Anthony, that you're going to be in and participating. I believe you're Boss 8. Is that you? I think, if I'm not mistaken. And I got to confirm with Nick as well, Drew. I don't have his. I think we're friends on Facebook. I'll reach out to him on Facebook. I'm assuming if they're in this new league, then they're going to participate. And CA, this is not a commentary on you, and you're doing a great job administrating this league. I just want to be sure. I told Rick and some others I would do my due diligence. We had a couple of people didn't participate last year. That's partly on me. If you remember 2 years ago, like we brought in somebody nobody knew. I don't even know if he participated that year, and then he was in the league again last year. The Mad New Yorker was in the league last year. Don't believe he even participated in the draft. So Anthony also says you think the Colts will be good with an all-woman owner. Well, yeah. I mean, look, women can be great owners. I mean, Rams won a Super Bowl. I think Georgia Frontiere was still the majority owner of the Rams when they won. I could be wrong. They went to a Super Bowl with her. She took over after her late husband, Carol Rosenblum, died. So I don't think there's any problem with women in ownership. I don't think there's going to necessarily be a problem there will be problems to begin with women coaching, because if we don't think gender is going to matter, that these guys are just going to automatically, not have any issue, I guarantee you the world hasn't changed that much. I'm not against women being coaches or managers or general managers. We saw Kim, I can't say her name, Drew, NG. I don't remember how to say it. Did a great job in Miami. And we're going to see, probably in the NBA, sooner than later, maybe it'll be Don Staley in New York. I don't know. But if you don't think that there'll be some issues to start, you'd be wrong. Now, I also said she could come there and be a very successful coach because she knows X's and O's. She knows the game as well as any guy. But she's never coached men. We haven't had a woman coach in the NCAA major college level. So, I mean, I don't think we can just assume there wouldn't be any problems. Now, if she came in there and won an NBA championship with the Knicks, you guys can tell me if you agree with this as well. That would be the biggest story, the biggest sports story of the 21st century. That Dawn Staley came to New York, who hadn't won a championship in 52 years, and wins. A woman wins an NBA championship. I don't care if it's the first year or fifth. It'd be the biggest sports story of the 21st century. Without a doubt. What do you mean 6 slots so that the old league is done and I'm in the old league? No. I think you're in the new league. if you don't get confused, though, right, Anthony? So the new league is titled TGI Sports Talk, right? I think the old league might have been titled. I think it's got 2024 in it or 24 in it. So don't be confused by that. You're in the league. I see you in the right league. I just wanted to confirm that you were in there. So there are still 6 slots left, is what CA was saying. We have 10, and you're one of the 10 in there. So just want to make sure you're in there good. Oh, it's never good when somebody says, look, Keith. I know I'm about to be schooled. There's nobody I'd rather be schooled by than John Gonzalez. So a great coach can even make Danny look like Magic Johnson. If you can coach, you can coach at any level, including the NBA. John, I am not disagreeing with that sentiment even a little bit. And if this was Sacramento with no expectations next year, that's, I think, where this barrier needs to get broken. Someplace like that. There was an assistant with San Antonio for the longest time who was, I thought at one point to potentially be a candidate to replace Pop, and it didn't happen. I just think coming into New York, specifically at this point in time, when expectations are going to be through the roof for this team, and I know you don't want Tibbs back. And listen, if Dawn Staley comes in here, I'll be rooting for her like nobody else. I'm not saying women can't coach. So don't misunderstand what I'm saying. Women can coach. It's not about coaching. You got to command respect. And it doesn't mean that Dawn Staley doesn't deserve respect, because she does. But professional men athletes, for the most part, are prima donnas, and it's going to take time for them to say, okay, I'm buying into this. I guarantee you there will be growing pains wherever and whenever that happens. And again, I don't think you can compare it like Jack was earlier. And Jack and I will get into this tomorrow morning, I promise you. I don't think you can compare it to the real world where lots of men work for women. It's not the same. Sports is not the same. The employees are consistently disrespecting the employers. It would never fly in my world. Never. But it does in sports just because of the situation, right? So, Honey Badger. Right, Honey Badger's you. I remember now. Whoops. Let me just make sure I did see you in there. I'm pretty sure I did. Where are you, Honey Badger? Yeah, you're in there, Honey Badgers. It's funny. All says join June 18th. That's what's weird. 2 reserve team slots, 4 slots of it. Did you reserve teams, CA? I don't know why it says 2 reserve team slots and 4 available. That's kind of weird. Unless you reserve 2 for Danny and Paul based on my comments, I'm not really sure. Thank you, Anthony, for that update, by the way. Chase Burns, there you go. Here you go, AC. Here's your update on the Reds prospect. Drew just tries to cover my head up whenever possible, which isn't easy. This thing is huge. Chase Burns, 22, second overall pick in the 2024 draft. Started with 5 Ks versus the Yankees in his debut last Tuesday. Oh, I do remember him pitching now. Reds number 1 prospect, MLB number 11. Had a whole 13 starts in the minors this year before being called up. Not much to go on, but looked good in that very limited time. Was decent, but not a superlative in his 3 college years. There you go. By the way, did I say thank you to Terry Francona, speaking of the Reds, for putting your pitcher out there in the 9th inning and giving him a chance to throw a no-hitter? And he said, you're going to stay out there till you give up a hit. Aaron Boone, are you listening? The rest of Major League Baseball, are you listening? Put him out there. Let him give up a freaking hit and then take him out. So tired of this. Oh, no. Come on. John Calipari washed out with the Nets. He did he do a good job? And he's also, I mean, how old is John Calipari now? Although I would have brought in an old Jay Wright. The only guy from the college ranks I would have wanted is Jay Wright. That's it. And he was never coming. I'm not a Calipari basher either, John. I promise you. I'm a big fan of John Calipari, but I think he belongs on the college sidelines. And he probably would have done better with the New Jersey Mets. Well, I got to see his record now. Hold on. What was his record? Because I don't think he did as well as you think. And by the way, he's not coming because he's making like $12 million a year with Arkansas. Let me just take a look at Calipari's years with the Nets. Well, here's a good thing. He can't get him put on probation, right? I mean, there is that. NBA, 72 and 112, John. He had one season over 500. He was 43 and 39. That's good enough? Is that good enough? We just said we fired Tibbs because he couldn't get him to the next level. Jersey lost in the first round in their only trip to the playoffs with John Calipari. He went 27 and 56, 43 and 39, and 3 and 17. That's pretty much what I thought I was going to find. And he was fired. So in my mind, that's zero success and not even close to the success that the guy you just fired that you said you couldn't take you any further. If I'm going to hire somebody from the college ranks and it's not Jay Wright, then I might as well be Don Staley. Got to call you out on that one, John. I love John Calipari. He's a great college coach. Yahoo fantasy draft date or time can be changed. However, it's around the same. It's fine. I wouldn't, unless somebody, look at, guys, get in there, check the draft date. If you have a problem, if it's one person, we're going to have trouble changing it. CA, be careful changing the dates because you're going to be around Labor Day. If you go any further, I don't know, the season might start before Labor Day. I'm not sure. But we don't want to make an accommodation for one person and then screw up four, right? So be careful. Unless it's me. I'm just kidding. Anthony's already in. You won the championship last year. Congratulations. I've forgotten, Anthony. Congratulations to you winning the championship last year. There's J-Train. Dawn would be interesting to say the least. Without a doubt. Again, I know that if you don't listen closely, and please don't write me letters and pick at my house, ladies. I've said Dawn Staley is a great coach. She knows the game as well as anybody, including Tom Thibodeau. She's had tremendous success at the level she's coached at. She's never coached a man once in her life. And it is a factor. X's and O's are fine. She knows the game. She can coach the game of basketball. But you also got to be able to manage people. And it would be a consideration. I personally, again, I'm going to tell you, I still think this is all smokescreen. And you're going to hear Mike Brown as the coach of this team in the next couple of days. Maybe it'll be the guy from Memphis. I can't think of his name now. Is it Taylor? Anyway. One of those guys are going to get the job in the next few days, and the next you're going to say, "Hey, look we overturned every single rock." Sorry, John, I disagree. I coach football, baseball, and basketball. I don't believe I could coach in the NBA. I'm still available for special team coach in college. I don't think John necessarily meant any sport. I don't think. Let me go back and look at his comment here. A great coach. I think he's talking about the NBA, though, to be fair. I think that's what we're looking at here. And John, you can, you don't need me to defend you. You can certainly do that yourself, I'm sure. Where was I here? So I'm not sure that's what he was talking about here. So I don't think he meant any. Listen, I coach baseball myself, and I could go manage the Yankees as well as Aaron Boone today. I'm confident of that. I don't think I could coach in the NBA or coach in the NFL. Chase Burns has a bright future with the Reds, as should any number one pick, right? By the way, I'm happy with our own young pitchers here in the Bronx. Clark Schmidt, although he didn't pitch great yesterday, he pitched well early and extended his scoreless inning streak to one of the best in Yankee history, by the way, before things fall apart a little bit. Clark Schmidt has stepped it up, taken it to the next level as I thought he would. Will Warren is growing before our eyes. I'm glad to see the Yankees giving these young guys a really, really good chance to succeed. Mets are sinking faster than the Titanic. They are managing to stay in first place, though. The Phillies have kept them there. John. We've talked about the Yankees and the Mets both. What do they need to do in the second half to stay on target? How far behind am I? I'm doing pretty good. 6 minutes behind. I must be keeping my filibustering to a minimum here. What was I going to do? Oh, the Mets lost 2 in a row, 3-7 in their last 10. The pitching staff is falling apart right and left. I mean, you got your number one pitcher on your top 2 starters on the DL. Canning's about to go on a DL, or if he's not there already. So Clay Holmes has pitched well. You're going to rely on Peterson and Montas. So you're going to hope Senga's going to come back, obviously. You need starting pitching. I think the bullpen needs help. And I'm not so sure they don't need help, in the infield. That Vientos, I think, is back, but has been struggled mightily when he was healthy this year. They may need help at second base. And they might need an outfielder. So Yankees and Mets both, no sure things, despite really strong starts. Now is when you find out how good your manager is, right? Aaron Boone, I said a couple of weeks ago, when the Yankees started all their base running blunders, start calling people out. This is my biggest problem with Aaron Boone. Stop making excuses for guys. Now, I do think he's done one of his better jobs of managing. Jesus, dude. Drew, I gotta sit up here. Hold on. Dalbeck, Red Sox. I thought so. First base. Did I say first base? I said outfield, didn't I? Damn it. I was going to say first base, and I know there was a Dalbeck who spelled his name differently. That played with the Orioles, I want to say, a while back, playing now. Brooks Raley, right-handed pitcher with several teams, most recently the Mets. I think I called him a pitcher. Wainer, I blew it. Bob Shaw, really good right-handed pitcher. I don't know why I don't recognize that name. Dizzy Trout. Burgess Whitehead, infield, best known for his years with the Gas House Gang. Bobby Veach, 14 years, 310 hitter. That name rings a bell. My eidetic memory is not what it used to be. John Calipari. So he did a good job, though? Don't make me go back and look at who he had on those teams. Let's look at the team he finished 26-92 with. It's not going to tell me. Yeah, I'd have to go back to. I'd have to get. I'm not going to go that deep. We'll just agree to disagree. I mean, I any coach who goes 72 and 100 and whatever, I just can't say it was a great coach in the NBA. I can't say he's any reason to fire a guy who just took my team to the conference championship for the first time in 25 years, and I replace him with John Calipari. By the way, does John Calipari want to be like the 10th choice to be the coach of the New York Knicks? That's the other issue, by the way, with the Knicks issue in this coaching search. Whoever gets this job is going to be about the 10th choice to be the coach. Maybe not 10, but it's pretty close. Jay Wright was on the list, and they would have taken him before anybody. Guaranteed. Kidd, Finch, Ubaka, Quinn Snyder, Hurley. That's 6. Who am I missing? I think I'm missing an NBA coach yet. Who's the other guy? Did I name Kidd? I'm not sure. There's at least 7 guys they want before. They haven't even talked about John Calipari. So he gets on the list late because they can't get anybody else. You think John Calipari wants that? He's got an ego the size of this entire room. But we'll agree to disagree. Again, I like John Calipari. He's a great coach. I don't want him coaching the Knicks. Wilbert Robinson, 1980s catcher for 17 years. But better, I don't remember the 1980s that much. Or the 1800s. I barely remember the 80s, by the way, for different reasons. But better known for the manager of the Brooklyn Robins, not Dodgers yet. Yeah, I don't remember any of that. Congrats to him. I didn't say I wanted Mike Brown. Did I say I wanted Mike Brown, John? I did not. I said I think it's entirely possible this whole thing is a smokescreen because they're about to hire Mike Brown. I mean, you really think, again, you can want John Calipari, and I get that. Now, let's be realistic, and who's going to be the head coach? The head coach is either going to be Brown. I got to get the guy's name right. Sorry. I'll put Don Staley on the list only because they brought it up. Okay. The next coach is going to be either Mike Brown, James Barago, Micah Nori, who they just interviewed the other day, I believe, or Taylor Jenkins. They're going to be the next coach. One of those 4 guys is going to be the next coach. Jeff Van Gundy has moved up to 30-1, by the way. I'd bring Jeff Van Gundy back here in a second. I think he'd be great with this crew. Best winning streak is 6 games. The Marlins. Break up the Marlins. I mentioned that before. Which of these underachieving teams has the best shot of getting to the playoffs? The Red Sox, the Orioles, the Twins, the Indians. I'm sorry, team formerly known as the Indians. The Royals, the Mariners. I say the Mariners, by the way. The Rangers, the Reds, I guess are all right. 42 and 40, I think, right? The D-backs. D-backs got some decisions to make. They think they're in this race, and they may not unload anybody, but if they do unload people, people are going to be knocking on their doors because Naylor's going to be available. Suarez is going to be available. Marte may be available. Zach Gallen may be available if they decide to not go for it. They may be buyers. By the way, the Rockies are 4-7 in their last 11, I think. So that's really kind of a plus side for them. They are on a pace to lose 127 games. I was off the other day, by the way. My bad. I said it last week on your show that Alvarez, you did say it, and he was sent down, I think, the same day, if I'm not, or next day. I feel like it was the same day, John. He was sent back to AAA. I never said you didn't know what you're talking about, John. I will tell you, John Calipari is not going to be the next head coach of the Knicks. Now, I also know what I'm talking about sometimes. I just also point out when I'm wrong, and they tend to even out. I like strong opinions, and John Calipari coaching the Knicks is a very strong opinion. I do not doubt that for a second, John. And thank you, Billy. Good morning to you. Good to have you with us. I mention Nolan Ryan like almost weekly on the show. Certainly during baseball season when I get into my rants about pitchers and the way they're babied. And I mean, what Major League Baseball organizations do to protect their pitchers are actually hurting them. Nolan Ryan is a freak of nature. And to me, he's not the best guy who ever pitched in the major leagues, but he's certainly maybe the most interesting pitcher in my mind that ever pitched in the major leagues. That's just my opinion. Good morning, Matt. Good to have you with us out there in sunny California. You're the first Californian to join us today. So we now have two countries heard from. So you say you don't want a college coach, but you're Ronnie Hurley. I didn't promote Hurley. Stop it. I didn't promote Hurley. John, please. I wanted Jay Wright. I don't want a college coach necessarily. And again, I think you're turning my words against me. I said college coaches don't have great track record. I'm merely stating facts. Who I want was not in that conversation. I said from the very beginning, I would give Jay Wright whatever he wanted. I didn't say I wanted Hurley. I thought Hurley would be a tremendous mistake. I'm not promoting Hurley. I'm telling you, Hurley was on the list before John Calipari. That's all I said. So again, I think my words sometimes get misconstrued for some reason. I'm saying both of those guys were on the list ahead of John Calipari, who wasn't on the list at all. The Knicks list, not my list. I'm talking about the Knicks. So Calipari would be the 8th choice, basically, of the Knicks if he got that job, which he's not going to get. I never thought Jay Wright would get it. As a rule, I'm not necessarily against college coaches. I'm not against Dawn Staley coaching in the NBA. I don't think this is a great place for her to start and break a barrier in New York City, the largest media market in the world, with great expectations. If they were losing and on a streak like they were when Tibbs got here, might have been a great choice. And she'd be a great choice to break this barrier, by the way. There's going to be an NBA coach that's a woman. But I don't know why I keep getting things thrown back at me that I didn't actually say. I didn't say I wanted Bobby Hurley ever. I said from the very beginning, Danny Hurley, I think I just said Bobby. Danny Hurley would be a horrible choice. I don't think he'd be a good fit. Jay Wright I always thought if there was a guy who could make the jump, it'd be Jay Wright. Long before this, the Knicks have been after him several times. He's the only guy I would have fired Tibbs for. So if it was me and I'm the Knicks, I would have made sure Jay Wright wanted the job, which he never was going to take. before I fired Tibbs. He's the only guy that they were interested in that they could talk to before they fired Tibbs. Because every other guy they went after that, to begin with, already had a job. So, again, I made a comment that college coaches don't always or often, they don't often translate, and they don't. Facts are real. Calipari had a chance and he failed. He's not on the list of guys who've been successful in the NBA. You can tell me he had bad players, whatever. If I'm not mistaken, John Calipari also had a part in putting those teams together. Where'd I go? Do I still have his page up here? Come, I don't. I believe, what was his job? Because I don't know that he was just a head coach. Let me check. I could be wrong. I'm trying to fact check myself here. What was his actual job with the Nets? He replaced the job. By the way, they acquired Keith Van Horn, who was a pretty good player, for Lucius Harris. So what kind of Star Ledger had a problem with the media? But I guess not. I thought he had another job title, but I'm wrong. In any event, I never, again, I'll admit to things that I say and I'm wrong about. But again, just because they come out of my mouth doesn't mean I'm the one promoting that. Right? Jay Wright's the only guy I would have hired out of the college ranks, probably ever, for the Knicks. Kyle Schwarber having yet another resurgent year. Tied for fourth. He's at 248. By the way, Judge has 93 Ks and 305. Oh, that's, every year is a huge year for strikeouts. The flop is pushing for Luke Walton to the Knicks. Why would Luke Walton's not getting the job either? I got a better chance of getting a job than Luke Walton does. He's failed everywhere. Drew does come with his stats. Always. I don't hate either guy. John, I might have to put you in the running for the Itch Award after today's conversation. John's found Billy Pulver in Rick Sherlock's button. So, I didn't say I hated Joe Namath. I never said I hated John Calipari. John Calipari, I like a lot as a college basketball coach. There's nothing not to like unless he's put your school on probation, I guess. I like him. And I like Joe Namath a lot. A lot. He won the biggest game in the history of the NFL. What'd I say? And the eras are different. Look at Joe Namath belongs in the Hall of Fame, if only for that one victory. You think Joe Namath could play in the NFL today? Medicine's better. Joe probably would have stayed healthier, right? Wouldn't have had to wear those freaking, iron braces on his legs. I don't know. Namath is obviously more Brady than he is, say, Patrick Mahomes, right? As a quarterback. I don't think you disagree with that. I wonder about Namath and how he would play in today's game. I wonder about a lot of players, how they would play in today's game. You can't touch quarterbacks, so Namath probably would be a freaking superstar because you can't hit the quarterback. Well, the quarterbacks still get hit, but I didn't say I hated either one of these guys. John, you're killing me today. It's just a game today, just like the NBA is a schoolyard game. It's just a game today, just like NBA is a schoolyard game now. It's just, I means it's just a game today. Well, again, NBA has had a lot of schoolyard in it from the beginning. When coaches had more power, they took that away in the 60s. The 70s, you started to see a lot more individualism, if you will, the Dr. J's of the world. Even in the 60s, Connie Hawkins. I mean, some of the greatest players were great schoolyard players. I don't think the game is as bad as people think it is today. I mean, there's a lot of three-pointers, yes, but the teams that are successful, you can go back to the successful Golden State Warrior teams and that 4 or 5 year span where they were winning championships. They got a lot of three-pointers for sure, but they also had great ball movement. The ball movement on that team was similar to what the Knicks did in the early 70s, only instead of getting an open 12-footer, they were looking for an open 23-footer or whatever the three-point line is now. That's what they were looking for, the open three. That's just the game today. I'm not saying it's good or it's bad, but I don't think the game is as bad as what people think it is. Maybe not enough defense. Every Dodger signed successfully. Not every Dodger signing is successful or injured. Conforto is the leading qualified hitter at the bottom, hitting 173. Conforto, I think, is about done in this league, by the way. Or he'll bounce back. The Dodgers have a way of getting guys, and in year two they rebound and they help them. They somehow made Hayward a valuable player the last couple of years before this one. Hunter Brown, Max Fried are the only two pitchers below 2. By the way, DeGrom is at 2.08. As I predicted, he'd bounce back well from his TJ. And he's pitched how many games? Is he pitching every 10 days or something? What's he? Can we get a complete season out of him before you say we bounce back? Because again, we talk about injury possibilities. He's still at the top of my list. What is his? Is he pitching like on every 5th day now? Because for early in the season, he was pitching like every 10 days. He's pitching great. I never said that Jacob deGrom was not a great pitcher. But that's his last 5 games for the season. He has 16 starts. Okay. That's not bad. That's actually pretty good. It's on a pace for 30 starts. What's he averaging? 3 innings a game? I'm just kidding. Where's my innings average? How come it doesn't tell me? I thought it told me here somewhere. Well, I'm not seeing it. So let me do some stupid perf math. 95 divided by 16 is what? That's not bad. Almost 6 innings a game. That's for today. That's pretty good. Now, listen, he's pitched well. And I've never said Jacob deGrom, when healthy, is not one of maybe the best pitcher in Major League Baseball. So, let him stay healthy. He's also got 8 wins, by the way. Didn't he win a Cy Young with 8 wins one year? I think I saw Padres' most shutouts next to the Yankees. Pretty good considering no Cole. Hard to figure how New York offense gets blanked. Well, there's a lot of holes in that offense. When you think about it, Matt, let me go to the Yankees now. Hold on. Who's really hitting that well right now? other than Judge. And Judge is cooled off a little bit. He's down to 354. He's lost 40 points off his batting average in a month. Still a great player. He's the best hitter in baseball. Goldschmidt's cooled off. This is not a great offense. Volpe, Bellinger. Not a. By the way, there's three of the big bats in the lineup. Goldschmidt, Volpe, Bellinger, all under 800 OPS. Not great. Grisham, who's been a big surprise at 15 home runs, still only hitting 247. Ben Rice has been a surprise. I mean, overall, the OPS is 779, but Judge carries a lot of that, being like 1161. This is not a great offense. I'm not really sure why we think it is, because, again, it's an offense that's scoring with home runs. There's holes at second base or third base, depending on where Jazz is playing. Dominguez has not really played as well as he can. I still think he's going to be a star in this league, but he's got to hit left or right-handed. The catcher position has been pretty much a hole in the lineup. I don't think this is as good an offensive team as you think. I think the starting staff is better than the offense. LaFlop, LaBum. Matt, you and Rick can have a nickname off. Yeah, definitely. We talked about Dave Parker, rest in peace. Definitely deserving a Hall of Fame bid, and it's a shame it took so long to get there, and he misses his induction by a month. Very sad. A lot of people will argue, I'm sure, that Dave Parker was borderline Hall of Famer, because when you look at his overall numbers, nothing sticks out. He didn't even hit 350 home runs, less than 1,500 RBIs, but he had some hugely dominant years. He finished in the top 6 MVP voting 6 times and won once. Was an all-star many, many years. He dominated, and at least he was one of the dominant players in the game at least half his career. Well, maybe not half his career because of his last few years, but as late as 38 years old, he finished 11th in the MVP voting as a DH. Our thoughts and prayers go out to his family, and I wish he'd made it another month. Dodgers 131 with Major League leading two. What's that? 131. What's that? Pulling away. HRs. Angels tied for second with the Cubbies. Interesting. But they got a bunch of guys hitting home runs for low batting averages like Ward. Rangers overtake injury-ridden Mets. Where's that gotten them? Did you say in your second sentence? That's why they're under 500, right? 227 with an on-base percentage under 300. That won't get it done. All is forgiven. I'll never mention 2 of my favorite guys in sports world that you insulted. You don't need to move forward. You can mention those guys as much as you want. So I have great respect for both of these guys. Have I not? How have I not conveyed that I have great respect for these guys? And we can't say anything negative about them at all. Is there really nothing negative about Joe Namath's career that you can point out? Because I can, obviously. You haven't helped me. Can he play today? I think Joe Namath would potentially dominate the game today because he could stand in the pocket all day and not worried about getting killed. Please keep bringing those guys up because it's great fun for me to talk about. How did I insult John Calipari when I said he's a great college basketball coach? He's one of the great college basketball coaches of my lifetime. People don't like him. He puts their schools on probation. I get it. But I think he's a great coach. He's a great recruiter. He wasn't a great NBA coach. I mean, is that an insult or is that accurate? Joe Namath won the biggest game in NFL history. How am I insulting him? I know I said, and I probably was, again, sometimes I get over the top. I said he was one of the most overrated players in the Hall of Fame. Again, depends on what your criteria is for the Hall of Fame. He belongs in the Hall of Fame. I didn't say he didn't. He won the most important game in league history. So don't stop bringing him up, John. It's fun for me. Are you bringing your calculator, John? I hope you're taking this in good spirits because that's the way it's intended. I like lively debate. If you just brought up Joe Namath and John Calipari and I said, "Yep, great ideas, awesome," well, that'd be boring for 2 hours, wouldn't it? What time is it? 9:57. I bring my calculator with me when I retire. Mr. Jennings would be proud of you. Yes, I still have this thing's probably about 30 years old. Mr. Jennings might have given me this calculator. I'm not sure. Yes, this stays with me at all times. Who else uses a calculator today? Just go to AI and say, what? I've started to make use of AI. Watch out. Match right. The Padres have 13 team shutouts with Cleveland, the Yankees, and St. Louis tied with 9. Fantasy update. 5th place, trying to get the 4th. With 11-8 with today to go. Rick is duking it out at 8-10. And Drew is who's in 4th, and I'm chasing, is I don't know. Anyway, Drew's got 13-5 with many categories. Close. Great recruiter with some out-of-the-box methods. Who are we talking about? Is an unlively debate actually a debate? Well, that's fair. Well, you can have a debate that's not lively, I guess. I mean, so that's fair point. Fair point, Drew. Oh gosh, funny though. John, don't run away, my friend. This is. I said spirited. Did I say lively? I meant spirited. Coach Cal. What did you say about Coach Cal? Great recruiter with some out-of-the-box methods. Listen, I have not said anything, I think, disparaging about Coach Cal other than give you a couple facts about his career. He failed in the NBA, regardless of the talent. I mean, I get it. Maybe he wasn't given a fair shot. I just don't think he's the best option here, and I don't think he'd want the job anyway. I mean, what's he making at Arkansas? He's making a huge amount of money. What else have we talked about today? I said thank you to Terry Francona, didn't I? Thank you for letting your pitcher attempt to pitch a no-hitter. I didn't talk about we haven't talked about a couple of things if you want. What do we think about Cooper Flagg and what's his outlook in the NBA? I think it's huge. I think he's one of the most NBA ready players to come into the league in a while. I'm also going to tell you that I think Johnny Broom is going to be a steal for the Sixers in the second round. But I think Cooper Flagg is and I think the Mavs will be dangerous. And I think Jason Kidd stays there, by the way. People all over Ace Bailey from Rutgers and trying to manipulate where he wanted to stay close to home. How many guys have ever said, I want to play for the Wizards? But he was trying to play in Philadelphia or Brooklyn or Washington, and he didn't show up to some workouts and things that other players did, trying to manipulate himself into one of those places. And people are really berating him for it. But at the same time, I think you should factor in the fact that he was willing to take less money by getting drafted lower. So, I mean, once you fall outside the top 5, the money, it's still really good money. Don't get me wrong. But I think you got to factor in the kid was willing to take less money to try to get to a place he wanted to play. I missed this somehow. Congratulations. That's a good one. By the way, this is a good point. LSU beat Coastal Carolina, and kudos to Coastal Carolina for a great year. 26 consecutive wins leading up to the finals in the College World Series. LSU beat them in 2 games. They ran out of steam. The Coastal Carolina coach got thrown out in the first inning of the second game. I don't know whether we think it was fair or not fair. The umpire crew all thought it was fair, that they gave him ample opportunity to, keep himself in the game, and he did not do it. But kudos, I think it's their 8th national championship for LSU. It would have been Coastal Carolina's first. Still a great season for them. I think their manager probably deserved to get thrown out of the game where he did. I don't think you have to make a decision not to throw a guy out just because of the importance of the game, quite frankly. Rick's going to go on to the Kansas City Chiefs, looking for an extension to raise more stadium funding and move across Kansas to Kansas from Missouri. Apparently, Swift isn't supporting him enough. This has been an ongoing thing with both the Chiefs and the Royals, I believe, a stadium situation in Kansas City. And I hope they're going to Kansas City, Kansas, so that they can still at least be the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm never one for these sports teams holding cities hostage to get new facilities. You guys are making money hand over fist, and you have to at least be part of the funding for these stadiums. And maybe they are. I don't know all of the details. But it would be a huge loss for the city of Kansas City to lose the Chiefs or the Royals, quite frankly. And they have supported these teams. Now, I'm always more for municipal participation in building stadiums if you've actually supported the team. If I was the city of Oakland, I would not have built them a new stadium because the fans have done nothing to show they deserved it. Fans in Kansas City have. Fans in Tampa haven't shown they deserve it. By the way, another great conversation topic is where Tampa Bay would play if they were to make the playoffs, because they can't play at Steinbrenner Field. It only holds like 10,000 people. And the MLB is not going to allow that. So the last one was Wes Unseld when he was with the Bullets. One of the great lines I ever heard was, this is back in the 80s when the Washington was the Bullets, and they changed their name to the Capitals, if you remember. First, they were I guess they moved. I don't know why they became the Wizards, quite frankly, but they changed their name to the Capitals because the NBA did not want the name to have be associated with crime, right? So they didn't want bullets in their name. And I don't know who the writer was, but one writer said if that was the case, the NBA really didn't want their name to be affiliated with crime, they would have taken Washington out of their name and left bullets. One of the great lines I've ever heard. What do you got, John? Looks like the state of Pennsylvania has produced some great, huge NFL quarterback classes, right? I mean, Namath. Yes, I do think he's a great quarterback. Unitas. Wasn't Lenny Dawson out of Pennsylvania? Dan Marino. A lot of great players. A lot of great linebackers, too. And basketball coaches. Can you name two of them? Are we talking about NBA coaches? Chuck Daly? I'm going to say Chuck Daly and Jack Ramsey. If we're talking about NBA coaches. If we're talking about college, tell me. I'll give you two, Chuck Daly and Jack Ramsey, and you can tell me if it's college, and I'll come up. Actually, Ramsey would. Both of them could fit college too. They both coached in the Philadelphia area. St. Joe's for Jack Ramsey and Penn for Chuck Daly. But I'll give you those two names for now. Who's your? And if they're not right, I'll take two more shots. Who's your pick for the most improved NFL team record-wise? Is Denny Fuller here? I have two candidates. Let me go back to my. Let me go to my standings here real quick. I have two candidates. Most improved records. I got to see what their record was last year first. Hold on. The Bears and the Patriots. They're my two guys. I will say the Panthers are in that group as well. So I'm going to throw three of them out there in no particular order. And I might have a stronger feeling on this as we get further into the summer. But I'm going to throw those three teams at you as the teams I think most likely to have most improved record. Now, I wouldn't argue with AC Bailey. I love Bailey. But didn't he go? No, he didn't go. They picked, who did they pick? Can't remember who they picked. Oh, they picked the guard from Baylor, right? I think Bailey's got huge upside to his game. He was up and down with Rutgers, John, and I know you follow the local schools. Look it up, John. They were the Capitals before they were the Wizards. I'll admit if I'm wrong, but it was the Capitals before the Wizards. That was probably in the 80s, I want to say. Let me know. I'll give you the Washington. I'm going to get, if I do that, I'm going to get, I'm going to look up Bullets. Washington Bullets. They're going to come up as the Wizards. Franchise was established in 1961 as the Chicago Packers. They were renamed the Chicago Zephyrs. They moved to Baltimore, Maryland, and became the Bullets. I was wrong. They didn't take Capitals. They didn't take Bullets out. I was absolutely wrong. They changed the first name to the Capital Bullets. Then following the season the Washington Bullets. So they were Baltimore. Then they were the Capital Bullets. Then they were the Washington Bullets. Then they were the Wizards. So it was probably that joke probably came when they did the Wizards. So I guess in some ways we're both right. So my bad, John. The Capitals are the hockey team. I did know that. But they were the Capital Bullets. That was my mistake. So they weren't Washington. They were Baltimore, Capital, then Washington. Capital Bullets. Interesting. Good catch, though, John. See, I make mistakes. I think the Raiders will be better, maybe even close to 500. You see, I'm talking about, well, again, the teams I'm talking about, I can see 9 wins. And let me start with the Patriots. Patriots 9 wins, but I think a lot of things got to go right. I mean, they could win 5 games too. But I think 9 wins is within the realm of possibility. I think Carolina wins 9 games with less of a chance of a 5-win season. And the Bears, I think, are measurably improved. And I think you're going to see great improvement out of Caleb Williams, who, by the way, is not, when you look at numbers, and again, we can't just look at numbers. His rookie season was not all that bad. Plus, they didn't have anybody knowing what was going on right on offense over there. So the Raiders, where were they last year anyway? They won 3 games, 4 games. So you got to be better. 500. Again, jumping from 4 wins to 9, because nobody can finish 500 anymore, right? 4 wins to 9 wins would be huge. And all these teams that we've talked about, had 4 or 5 wins last year. So John did point out the Capitals are the Washington hockey team, which I was well aware of. I did mix up the Capital name being used for the Bullets, but it was when they were not using Washington. It was in between Baltimore and Washington as a name. 65, your memory gets as foggy as ever, by the way. I have to tell you. Where's John and my results on my coaching picks, John? 10-12, we got a few minutes left. What were we talking about? What else? I was a little surprised. What were your thoughts, too, on Jerry Philbin passing away, John? I know you're a big Jets fan. Any thoughts on Harbaugh being added to the suit? I don't understand this whole suit. This coach was breaking into players' computers or hacking into players' computers and pulling intimate information, whatever that means. And supposedly Calipari knew about it and then let him coach in a game. So he's been added to this lawsuit. I think these players are suing the University of Michigan and this coach, Matt Weiss, for that. I don't know if it's really sports news. Nobody taking me up on the line I throw out about Aaron Boone should be watching Terry Francona manage. Any thoughts on Sosa and being reunited now with the Cubs? He was persona non grata for 2 decades almost, or maybe it was 2 decades, close to it. And Barry Bonds getting a statue in San Francisco. What do you got here, Drew? Oop, wrong thing. Teams in the Tigers, by the way, were the first team to 500 victories. 50 victories. So congratulations to them. I believe right now they have been passed by the Dodgers, if I'm not mistaken, or they're tied now for the best record in baseball. Tigers only team in the AL Central above 500, while the Rockheads are the only ones under 500 in the West. The best division in baseball, I think is the West. I think you could give the Central, the NL Central, a nod there possibly as well. We got to see how this whole season plays out. And the AL West, I guess, could end up being one of the betters as well. Depending. It's either very mediocre or it's very good. Also, the Pirates, the only team below 500 in the Central as well. Pirates are the Pirates. The Pirates are going to be selling. We know the Pirates are going to sell, right? Yankees seriously looking at Brian Hayes, who's been a disappointment offensively with the Pirates, but has a really good glove, and I'm sure he could come in here and hit for a decent average. He's been a disappointment power-wise. We talked about the age that players normally hit that sweet spot, Drew. We talked about it Friday of that 27-year-old spot. What's Brian doing right now? He's hitting only 239, 2 homers, 25 RBIs. He's really regressed. But maybe a change of scenery. He might be a change of scenery guy. And if I don't have to give up a lot for Brian Hayes, I might take a shot at him if I'm the Yankees and get Jazz. Jazz is much more valuable at second base with the range and makes a good double play combination with Volpe. But I would think they're going to be selling half this team. Everybody's underperforming. Your best offensive player is your oldest offensive player in McCutchen. Kiner Falefa is going to be talked about with the Yankees and other teams. Maybe Adam Frazier, Tommy Pham, but none of these guys are really performing all that well. The interesting thing is going to be, and it may not be this year, but it's going to be soon, is what are they going to do with Paul Skeens? I do not see him signing long-term with his team right now. I think they have I want to say they have 5 years of control. The more years of control that you're going to trade to a team, the more a bigger haul you're going to get. Where's the answer to this? Am I right? Or did I answer this wrong? Can I name 2? Well, the great quarterbacks, I just named 2. Marino, Namath, Unitas. Coaches, I think Chuck Daly and Jack Ramsey both apply. Where's my answer, John? I got to know whether I'm right or not. I got to be right once today. I've been wrong all day. We got 12 minutes if you tell me I'm right or wrong. Drew's okay with Sosa being welcomed back by the Cubs since he is part of their history, for better or worse. Bonds getting a statue is dumb. They should have before or after versions. He's no Mays, Ott, Matheson, among others. Actually, I'm going to disagree a little bit. And again, it's hard to compare eras. Willie Mays, he's, when he was alive, was the greatest living baseball player. I'm going to give you, as a Yankee fan, I'll be blasphemous, and I'll tell you that Willie Mays was the greatest living ball player when Joe DiMaggio was insisting on being introduced that way wherever he went. Willie Mays was the greatest living baseball player until he died. I would say that Mel Ott, as great a player he was, Barry Bonds compares very favorably with Mel Ott. Because you got to remember something. Barry Bonds was a Hall of Famer before he ever did any statues, did any steroids. So, again, whether you should get a statue, I don't know. Nick Foles got a statue in Philadelphia. Good grief. Maybe statues are overrated for players. But the before and after versions is funny because I think I said, maybe it was Friday, I said, the only question would be on the statue is how big are they going to make the head? They should make it really, really huge. And I think that would be interesting. So, see, I have a problem, and I've always had a problem with the steroids guys and singling out Sosa and Bonds and McGuire, to name a couple, and Palomero, Clemens, when I don't know who was doing it. Again, I'm pretty sure 75% of the league was probably doing it. Because if you weren't, you were going to get left behind. I don't have anything to back that up. It's just a gut feeling. And until I know who was doing it and who wasn't, I have a hard time leaving these guys out. Now, of the Hall of Fame or any honors you want to give them. Now, wherever you're going to put up a plaque for them, though, on their statue in the Hall of Fame, make sure you state that, hey, they did steroids. I'm a warts and all guy. Mick Rouse. Matt, what? Rest in peace, Mick Rouse, Bad Company. Is this, that's gotta be, musical guy. I don't know the name. Mott, what do you call him? Mott the Hoppy. Oh, those are the two groups that he's sang with, right? I did hear this on the news the other day. So rest in peace, Mick. I don't know your work that well. Where'd John go with my answer? We might have a cliffhanger to today's show. They should have awards for best walk-up song in baseball. Oh, Enter Sandman was one of the best entry songs ever for Mariano. It's funny. Every single guy I know they used to play. I think music for pitchers became much more, or preceded music for hitters by a lot. I know they, and I don't know for a fact when it started. I do know that in the 70s, in Yankee Stadium, they played Pomp and Circumstance for. I want to say it was Pomp and Circumstance for Sparky Lyle when he came into the game. Excuse me. But now everybody's got an entry song for pitchers and walk-up music for hitting. Just how the game's changed, right? I mean, any of these things, I guess, when you see them in like small doses, like Sparky might have been the only guy in the 70s that any music played for him specifically. I mean, you always heard organ music played in ballparks and different tunes played when pitching changes were happening and whatnot between innings. But guys getting individual tunes, I don't think became a great thing. A big thing that soon. Years ago, I cheered for Sosa and Mac, and now I couldn't care. Bonds, the biggest Reuter. But again, here's the thing. Of these three guys, were any of them going to make the Hall of Fame before steroids? One was. Bonds was. He'd already won all MVPs. He was one of the best players in baseball for a decade before he started doing steroids. And if you don't know the story, and I'm not in any way condoning using this to condone his use of steroids, he didn't start doing steroids until Sosa and Mac had the big home run chase in 1997. Another great 30 for 30, by the way, on ESPN. Summer of 97. I don't know what they call it exactly, but it was about the chase, Sosa and McGuire's chase of 61 homers, which McGuire obliterated. Both of them did. I think Sammy finished with 66. I don't get as wrapped up. I mean, I have a problem, but again, until I know who did and didn't do it, I mean, every year has had their own. And again, I know it sounds like I condone cheaters all the time, but I'm not really condoning the cheating when everybody does it. Everybody's looking for an edge everywhere. Every era, guys were looking for edges. Greenies were huge. You don't think greenies were a big deal in the 50s and 60s and 70s before steroids? They were huge. You heard on my interview show when I had Randy Lurch on, he talked about how when he walked into Major League clubhouses, they were out like bowls of M&Ms. Those are performance-enhancing drugs. And you can take all the steroids you want without any talent to go along with it. You're not going to do any, it's not going to help you. You can give me steroids all you want, and I'm going to go out there and strike out 9 out of 10 times. Well, maybe 10 out of 10 times against some of these guys. So I get it. Listen, there's always going to be a huge it's always going to be a huge debate. He was 30 homers. I'm not saying it didn't have big effect. I'm just telling you he was I'm just telling you that he was a Hall of Famer before he ever started doing them. Because if you don't think 30 home runs and 100 RBIs every year is Hall of Fame worthy, of course it is, Matt. And sure, it had great effect. And look at, this is a topic I always struggle with because, again, I don't know who else was doing them. And I don't defend any of them necessarily, other than to say I would not put them in the Hall of Fame. At the same time, I say to you, Aaron Judge is still broke the home run record, not anybody else. And Henry Aaron still owns the overall home run record. So I'm a bit of a hypocrite on this topic. And I do apologize. Anytime I'm hypocritical, I do I do apologize because I don't like being that way or seeming to be that way. It's just a very difficult topic for me and always has been. Who's out there? Chris Fgrave hasn't spoken up today. Hamid, who's probably going to try to sell me something, has not either. Thank you for the likes. John, where are you with the answer to the question? We got a cliffhanger. Philadelphia coaches. One of the biggest issues with steroid users was their attitudes about being caught. A-Rod, Bonds, Clemens, Braun are the worst. Same went with Rose and his betting. Society is always more forgiving to those who are contrite. I wouldn't argue with that even a little bit. If these guys had just come clean, I would add Palmeiro to this because he was like, well, the guys are shooting shit in my ass, but I didn't know what it was. What? He thought it was B12. First of all, you let your teammates plug you in the ass with a shot? That sounds bad, didn't it? I'm sorry. Terrible. And you don't know what's in it? I assumed it was B12. Which, by the way, wouldn't that be a performance enhancer in itself if I was taking super doses of B12? Wouldn't that also be performance enhancing? So, again, there's a lot of gray area here. I agree 100%. If these guys have been contrite, even when Rose admitted he bet, he wouldn't admit that him betting on games affected the team at all when he obviously managed differently when he bet on them than when he didn't. And these four guys, as you mentioned here, Braun, again, he gets some poor bastard fired from the testing company, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Jeez. Have a great day, Drew. One more thing, guys. I want to make sure that, check this out. I want to make sure you join us tomorrow morning if you're available. And every Monday and Friday morning at 8 a.m., myself and Jack Hirsch will start a brand new show here on my stations and hopefully on Roku. We're still working some stuff out with Roku and how that's all going to look. So I don't know really what will happen with the Roku channel. But we'll be on tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. With Jack and Keith's Weekend Playbook. We'll be on Fridays at 8 a.m. as well. And who knows what will happen when we, as we go through the summer and I retire. Haven't decided. I mean, Jack would like to do a show 5 days a week, and I think it's too much. But we might do a third show. I don't know. Anyway, John has left us with a cliffhanger on this question. I'm going to put it up here one more time, John, because I want to know the answer. If I got it right, I must be right. John won't answer. basketball coaches. I'm thinking you were talking about basketball coaches, and I named 2, and I need to know if I'm right. So anyway, Drew, you have a great weekend. Everybody have a great 4th. We had a great show today. John, I hope you know I'm just having fun, but I love to debate, especially with guys as intelligent and as smart as yourself. So guys, have a great weekend. Keep taking over TGI Sports Talks. Sunday Stream of Consciousness. We'll see you tomorrow, 8 o'clock, with Jack and Keith's weekend. Weekend what? What do we call this? Hold on. Weekend Playbook. I got to get the name straight. We'll see you later. Have a great Sunday, guys. It looks like a nice day. We'll see you next weekend on the 4th. We'll see you the 4th, and we'll see you on Sunday. So have a great day. Bye-bye, guys. Here's your last comment, Matt. Have a great weekend, guys. Bye-bye.